Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar with WaveMaker. Uh, so today we have our product Jumpstart series, session 4. My name is Aditya, and I'm the host for today's webinar. Along with me, we have Anushri, who's our product lead. I'm sure you remember her from our previous session. And she will be walking you through today's topic, which is about building React Native applications using WaveMaker for mobile apps, right? So to kick things off, I would like to first give our new audience some perspective into WaveMaker. So before we do that, a quick recap as to what has happened so far in our product webinar series. So in session 1, we had an overview of WaveMaker, where we spoke to you about the platform, its core benefits, its core properties, and how you can very quickly navigate the platform using WaveMaker. In session 2, we had a more deeper session, which involved interacting with your enterprise assets, such as your databases and APIs, and how you can import those services in, and the use of some widgets to build a simple application with WaveMaker. So this session was all about the basics of application development. And in session 3, we went a little more deeper into the platform, where we covered a very important topic that was called as prefabs. So prefabs is your Lego-like building block in WaveMaker, where you can very quickly in your own components and customize components to better suit your use case and accelerate application development. And this session was also where we brought in some third-party charts into WaveMaker. So all of these videos are on our YouTube channel for your easy viewing at any given point in time. And you'll also have these emails, the links to these videos sent to you over email as well, right? With that being said, let's start off with today's session. So for the benefit of our new audience that have joined us today, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of WaveMaker. So I'm just sharing my screen. Yeah. So WaveMaker is a low-code application development platform that is built by developers for developers. Our primary goal is to boost developer productivity and help developers build applications much more faster and efficiently, right? Now, the entire application development happens through a visual drag and drop approach with a componentized manner of application development, which is again powered by prefabs, right? Now, our applications that are built using WaveMaker are completely built on an open standards framework. And this kind of improves the longevity of your applications from a maintenance point of view, as well as from an upgrade point of view, right? So you are investing in the platform to build long-lived applications using WaveMaker. So let's see what powers the platform, right? So with WaveMaker, you can build both web responsive applications, which is any web app that can be, rather rendered on any form factor out there, be it for mobile or for web, right? So any of your mobile devices. And you can also build React Native mobile applications using WaveMaker as well, right? So that's the core topic for today. Now, on the front end, we are using Angular, Bootstrap, HTML, and CSS. And on the back end, we use Spring and Hibernate Java frameworks, right? At any given point in time, WaveMaker lets you deploy the applications that you build in WaveMaker to any cloud of choice. So there is no runtime dependency back to the platform. In addition to this, we have also retained something that is very important to developers, where we are giving you access to the code, right? So you can basically have complete access and transparency to the code. We generate human readable code, which is maintainable, extensible, and portable as well. Our pricing model is based on the number of developer seats. There is no limit to the number of applications that you can build with an enterprise license with WaveMaker. And there is no limit to the number of end users that can access these applications as well, as we don't manage the hosting, right? The entire hosting and where you deploy your apps is completely managed by you. All of the upgrades that are part of that particular license term is also included as part of your overall enterprise license. So let's talk a little bit about the architecture that's powering the platform. So WaveMaker basically services application development end to end, right? Across a multitude of use cases as well as industries as well. So with that being said, we are completely based on a microservices reliant architecture where we can interact with any third-party REST API of choice or any Swagger spec API. WaveMaker also has a built-in API designer that's within the platform through which you can compose your own APIs. And furthermore, you can also interact with any of your existing enterprise assets, right, such as your databases, LLMs, workflow tools, messaging services, etc. From a security point of view, we are OWASP compliant to the top 10 security vulnerabilities. And we also, as a platform that generates code, we are also Veracode certified, right? Which basically ensures that the platform has a very high standard of code quality that's provided. From an authentication and authorization point of view, WaveMaker has you covered there. So basically, any OAuth provider of choice that you can think of, we have out-of-the-box connections with, be it LDAP, Active Directory, CAS, SAML, OpenID, or single sign-on. All of these methods can be configured in your application and have those respective roles in play, right? Now, on the UI side, we basically have themes that are built in the platform, and we also have a theme builder. The theme builder helps you get incredibly close to your existing design systems, right? And you can basically get an incredible pixel perfect design by further enhancing customizations by adding JavaScript and CSS styling at a page level, right? In addition to this, we also have a very rich widget library, which was covered in our previous sessions, where you can look at all of the widgets to accelerate your application development, right? So with that being said, let's move on to the core topic of today's session, which is for React Native mobile applications with WaveMaker. So I'm going to hand it off to Anushri to take it forward from here. Anushri, over to you.
Thank you, Aditya. I'll take it forward. Hi, I'm Anushri. Welcome to the webinar on building native mobile apps. So let's start with an overview of how WaveMaker Mobile Studio works. So to begin, I'll walk you through the architecture of a native WaveMaker mobile application. I'll first share my screen. A WaveMaker app can be either a web responsive application or a native mobile application built using low code. So the apps built in WaveMaker follow modern application architectures, separating the UI and the backend layer with a well-defined REST APIs. So this model gives the needed scalability as the application grows and follows best practices in terms of design and performance. If you see here, the UI layer is built by drag and drop of the widgets onto the canvas. Later, these widgets are integrated with the backend services to fetch and update data. The binding layer that sits in between the UI and the services, helping data flow back and forth between them using variables. Moving on to next slide. So in React Native apps, the code is written in JavaScript. This JavaScript code is executed by JavaScript runtime environment. We can add third-party plugins to React Native projects. WaveMaker also provides extended support from NPM in addition to Expo plugins. So to develop a fully native app, you do not need to learn additional programming skills for iOS or Android or maintain two different code bases. React Native provide platform-specific versions of components such that a single code base can be shared across platforms. So altogether, React Native runs on a native environment using a JavaScript engine, making cross-platform mobile application truly native. The automated build process for a native application within WaveMaker can be used to generate .apk or .ipa file. So downloading compatible zip files can be used to build systems manually for both Android as well as iOS platforms. Further, WaveMaker support the build for mobile applications, say in multiple ways. The first, build for Android or the iOS to generate APK or IPA files, which can be signed and hosted on Play Store or App Store. The other can be the manual build for a downloadable zip file, which can be further developed. Moving on to third-party Expo plugins. So the native app development framework is completely open sourced and is supported by developer community, hosting a number of React Native plugins that you can use. For example, Expo. These third-party plugins can be easily added to React Native projects. Coming to backend service. So APIs are the building blocks of all today's modern application. And so the WaveMaker uses an API-driven app development approach, wherein the REST APIs are generated automatically for the application. In WaveMaker, every service, be it a database service or a Java service, that is imported into an application generates REST APIs. So these are further available for consumption through API Designer, and that we will see in detail a little ahead. Coming to themes. So themes are the design elements that operate at a level of, say, individual widgets or UI components. So they enable you to maintain a uniform appearance throughout your application. You will always have an option to import and utilize custom themes. Apart from this, WaveMaker offers several pre-made themes that you can apply to your applications. Additionally, you can always import a personalized theme for your application by crafting one that adheres to your own branding guidelines or styles. So moving to the last topic of the slide, where we will be talking about the additional benefits. So the platform offers a user-friendly approach that allows developer to build native apps very easily. WaveMaker developers can create apps using drag and drop approach. And this means they can design user interface and also define application logic by visually arranging elements as well as components, reducing the need for extensive coding. So moving ahead in today's session, we have a workshop planned on building on a basic library management app to showcase WaveMaker's capability in creating mobile native applications. I'll start with a quick preview of the application that we are going to build today. Please give me a moment while I share my screen from another device. This mobile application called Library Management App is designed as a two-page interface. The initial page will present a list of books that is retrieved from our database through a Swagger API. As shown here, the book in the list will display book's title, subtitle, and respective author's name. Additionally, the list will also hold the image of each book. And furthermore, if I scroll up, at the top of the list, a search bar is prominently positioned to perform searches based on book titles. So when a user initiates a title-based search for any book from the book list, this is how the search result is going to show up on the screen. I'm removing the filter. In this page, we have also used a third-party React Native plugin to share a specific book across various social media platforms. Simply, we need to click on Share button associated with that book. This action will prompt the application to initiate the sharing process. So here you can select your preferred social media platform for sharing the book's information within your network. When you share a book across any social media platform, the shared information which will appear to user is shown as here. So it will include the title of the book and the link to the book's image. If I click on the link, the image or the picture of the book will be presented as shown here. Moving back to the books page. Here, if I select any item on the book listing page, this application will display the comprehensive detail of that specific book. This will include information such as book's title, subtitle, author, and the summary of the book. So this will allow user to access a thorough overview of the chosen book content. To navigate to another page within the application, we can click on the hamburger icon and select the page we desire to navigate. I'll select the page called Scan a Book. So this page includes a barcode scanner along with the label that indicates Scan a Book. In addition to these elements, there are various widgets integrated into the page to present and display the details of the scanned book. So these widgets will provide comprehensive information about the book once it has been successfully scanned. I have kept the barcode handy. I'll use that. So I'm clicking on Scan a Book button. Upon successful scan of a book, the app will present the details as shown here. So excellent, we have now become acquainted with the various screens and the functionalities of the library management app. I hope we now understand the app features and capabilities. So let me now show you how we can rebuild this app in React Native. Meanwhile, if you have any questions or concerns, please raise it here on the Q&A box. I'm also resharing my screen from another device, so please give me a moment. So once you have signed into WaveMaker Studio, we land on project listing page where we can see all our projects in this account listed. Here we can create a new project as well as we can import a project into our workspace. So to create a new project, I will click on create button. And this action opens a select platform dialog to appear. Here we can select to create either a web responsive or mobile application. To build a native mobile app, I'll click on mobile. I'll enter the name of the project as library management. So this step is completely optional where you can add multiple members to your project. I'll skip this step and click on create application. So we can see the workspace has been allotted to us and the project name can be seen on the top. So here in the studio, first I will walk you through how we can import REST APIs via Swagger and then see how WaveMaker apps API is ready to be consumed in the project. I will switch to the APIs section under Resource Explorer. As a first step in the app building process, we will set up the backend service for the library management app. And we will begin by importing a Swagger file, which is a backend file, and that is going to provide us all the required data. So here we will be utilizing the open source books API as a data source for our application. To import a new API, I'll click on this plus button. The import API dialog will appear. And from here, we can import the Swagger file from either a URL or file. I'll choose the file option and select the books API. Here, I'll add service name as books API and click on import. As a basic configuration, we'll have to enter the host name and base path that I have kept handy. I'll put the host name here and select base path as services and we'll click on save. So when an API is imported, all the endpoints are grouped into entities. Here from the left navigation, we can view all the entities. We can always select an endpoint and to test an endpoint, we'll click on this test button. So a successful response indicates that WaveMaker apps API is ready to be consumed in the project. With this, our backend is now ready. So let's now see how we can design our UI by creating pages and setting up navigation across the pages in the app. Also, I would like to highlight that all the building blocks of an app can be found here in the leftmost panel called the resources panel. If I may ask you to recall the architecture of a React Native app shown in the PPT, all the backend services like databases, web services, Java services, APIs can be found here. And additionally, pages, widgets, etc. for the UI layer is available at this location called the Resource Explorer. And the variables and actions as the binding layer can be found and created from here. So moving on to the pages section, all the pages which are created can be accessed from the page tab. And by default, WaveMaker creates few essential pages and partial. So as you may notice, there are two pages called the login and the main, and two partials called as common and left nav. So these pages and partials are indicated with different icon if you notice. Moving ahead, to create a new page, I'll click on this plus button and I'll create first two pages of the app. The first page is books. So upon choosing the template, you can see a list of template provided by the WaveMaker for you to choose from. I'll go ahead with blank template. The page is successfully created. In a similar way, I'll create next page of the book called book details. Now, to facilitate seamless navigation between the two pages that we have just created, we can click on the hamburger menu on the top nav. And when it is clicked or tapped on, the menu slides into view. So the menu holds a list of navigation items. And for an easy development process, WaveMaker by default creates a set of navigation items that can be seen here. We can click anywhere on the slider to edit navigation items in the menu. We can see an edit button is appeared. So when I click on this edit button, I should be able to edit the menu items. So with reference to today's use case, if you see here, we have two navigation items called books and scanner books. Let's first achieve this. To remove the remaining nav item, I'll just select the navigation item from the widget breadcrumb, or you can also select it from the canvas and press delete key. I'll not be needing this nav item as well. So I'll select it and press delete. Now to edit these two nav items, I'll select the first one, go to the properties panel, and from here, I'll recaption it as books. In a similar way, I'll do it for the second nav item. Sorry, I'll redo it again. Something went wrong. So our first navigation item is book, and second is supposed to be scan or book. I'll hit on this save button to save the changes. Now further to set the navigation to the books, we'll go to the events tab. And in the properties panel, we'll select on tab event as go to page books. It will create it will navigate users to the specified page. So navigation in the application happens using a navigation action. So whenever a page is created, a corresponding go-to-page navigation action is generated by default by WaveMaker. So next, we will see the process of building the first page of the app. So if you see here in the reference app, this page include feature such as list of books and a search tool that is located on top of the page. So to display the list of the book, we have utilized list widget. And for the search tool, we have used search widget. So let's see how we can build this page. I'll select the books page. Further, I'll search for flex layout widget. Once found, I'll drag and drop this widget onto the canvas. Now here, each linear layout item will hold a field to display information. So to add it further, a linear layout is a type of layout manager in the mobile development that arranges its child elements in a single line. So we need to include fields to display the search functionality and the list of books. So to achieve this, we need to add one more linear layout item. If you see here, the add button is shown at both the bottom and right side. And also I will delete the extra linear layout items on the right as well as on the left side. So we simply have to select the linear layout item and press delete key to remove it from the UI. To add linear layout items, we will click on this add button and another item has been added over here. So the next, we will search for the search widget. I'll drag and drop this search widget onto the canvas and I'm going to place it onto the linear layout item 1. Now moving further, a list of book is to be displayed underneath this search box. But before that, if you remember in the WaveMaker apps architecture, there sits a binding layer in between the UI and the backend service that helps floating data to and fro with the help of variables. So our first job would be here to create a variable. So I'll just quickly create a new variable. I'll select imported APIs, select the service as book APIs. I'll select method as filter books, which is relevant to the use case. And I'll give the variable name as SV filter box. I'll click on done. So if you see here, update data on input change and request data on page load are the behavioral properties of the variable. We will keep update data on input change as selected because we want to trigger the variable automatically on change of any input field. Additionally, we will also select request data on page load as we want to trigger the variable on page load as well, which is again specific to our use case. I'll click on save and close, and we are ready with our variable. Now we simply have to bind the variable to the list widget to display the list of books on the UI. So again, I will utilize this search bar in the widget section to locate the list widget. Once found, I'll drag and drop it onto the canvas. So this process will initiate the configure list dialog to appear. Now, since we have already created a variable, I will select retrieve data from as an existing variable and do further configurations of the list. I will select the variable here as SV filter box. We'll click on next. Here I'll go with template called text with avatar because this is more relevant to my use case. In this step, I'll be mapping the fields of the selected variable to the properties of the elements for the chosen template. I'll map picture with the book image, further title with the title of the book, and subtitle with subtitle. I'll click on done. So after configuration, this is how the list will appear on the canvas. I will drag and drop it to the linear layout item 2. Great. So in this list, if you see, we have a picture widget to display the image of the book. And further, to achieve the use case and showcase the picture in a certain way, we can do further configuration of the widget from the properties panel. I will select the picture widget. And from the properties panel, I'll set the resize mode as contain. And also will choose this shape as thumbnail. Next, to provide a source for the picture, I will click on the bind icon and define the source of the picture here in the use expression tab. I have also kept that handy. I'll put it here and click on bind. So now let's preview to see what is built. I have clicked on preview. Great. So this way, we can configure the picture widget to display images of the book on the app's UI, along with the title and subtitle. Switching back to Studio. So here also, we can always customize the widget. Say if we can add more elements in the list, such as author of the book, by selecting the linear layout item and clicking on the plus icon to add another row. So from the widget section, again, I'll search for the label widget. And I'll drag and drop it onto the canvas. I have dropped it onto the newly added row where we want the label to appear. So after adding the label, you can configure the labels property from the properties panel. I'll click on captions bind property and expand this variable called SV filter books. We'll also expand the data set and we'll select author string from here. I'll click on bind. So this way we can achieve the bindings as well. So moving next, I will take you to this style tab. And from here, I want to tell you that we can adjust the layout and styling of the label within the linear layout to ensure it is displayed as intended. You can always select the size, position, fonts, and colors from here. So all right, moving ahead, I will now show you how quick it is to add the search functionality of the search bar positioned on top of the books page. So to introduce the capability of search bar and enabling the filtering of the books based upon the searched titles, it is always necessary to incorporate a query to filter the book list and display the results accordingly. To achieve this, we need to access the variable. And from here, we can implement the query by switching to this data input field. Here, I'll click on the bind property associated with the input field Q, that is query. Clicking on the bind property will initiate a bind dialog to appear. I'll switch to use expression tab. And from the use expression tab, we can write a custom expression to change the display setting. You can also change the date format, combine various data fields, and do much more using the expressions to bind your widget. I'll enter the query for the search operation within this field, and I have kept that handy as well. I'll click on bind and done. For our application, the primary search criteria is the title, and thus the expression is provided as title like percentile, that is enclosed within double quotes. The binding can now be observed in the input field Q. I will click on Save and Close to save the changes and close the dialog. Let's preview again and see whether our search functionality is working as expected or not. Great. So this is how the search functionality can be successfully implemented in React Native mobile application. With this implementation, the search feature can efficiently apply filters to the list of books, enhancing apps usability as well as user experience. So we are remaining with one more thing that is coming to the reference app. We have also used third-party plugin to share a book. So to design share functionality on the UI, I'll be simply selecting the 3 dots icon and press on delete key. I'll go to the widget section, look for the widget called button and drag and drop it onto the linear layout item. Further, I'll switch to properties panel and I'll be removing the caption of the button. If I scroll down further under the graphics section, I can find the icon classes. So I'll search for share icon from here. We'll select the icon and click on apply. So we can see the button is now holding the share icon. Now we will next add share plugin. So to achieve this, I'll go to export button, select project as React Native zip. And here we have a plugin section from where we can add all our third-party React Native plugin. So I'll search for the plugin called sharing. Once found and once I'll select it, you can see that the export sharing plugin is automatically added with its latest version displayed. So I'll just click on save button. Now to invoke the sharing plugin on the button tab, I'll select the button. We'll switch to the events tab and select on tab event as JavaScript. I'll just take you to the reference app once, and I want to show you here that we have just written some logic here. In the first part, we have initialized third-party plugin, and then we wrote JavaScript to code for sending messages. So this was how simple it is. With this, we have completed building our first page. Now coming to the next page, that is books detail page. Due to time constraints, I'll just walk you through the binding process, which is very similar to the first page that we have already explored. So to design this page, I'll open the books detail page first. We'll go to the page structure. And if you see here, we have first dragged and dropped a container widget. And inside the container widget, we have added the linear layout items. So if you see here, each linear layout item is holding one information. So similarly, we have added labels to each linear layout to display the information. And also, then we will be creating a variable and then bind the variable with these widgets to display the information on the UI. So meanwhile, if you have still some questions or concerns, please raise it here in the Q&A box. With this, we have, in the similar pattern, we have also built the remaining pages in the app. So next, I'll walk you through the process of exporting a mobile app project as a zip file, assuming that we have built all the pages. So this is a crucial step in creating platform-specific installers. In the export process, Mobile App Studio compiles the project into zip file, which encapsulates all the essential files and resources that are required for building platform-specific installers. So there are two methods. WaveMaker offer two methods for generating a zip file from the mobile app project. We can do this from the export option or by using Maven command. So here to export library management app, I will go to this export option and select project as React Native zip. A dialog appears with all the configurations. So here application name is automatically populated with the name of the application. And coming to the server path that corresponds to the backend server URL. So dev option is available to pre-populate the application preview URL. Alternatively, developer can always select custom from the server path dropdown to manually input the URL. Say if the application is hosted somewhere else. So WaveMaker automatically retrieves application and server information, streamlining the configuration process in the dialog. So clicking on the build is typically the next step in generating the app from the native mobile app project. So I'm clicking on the build option. So this action will initiate the building process for the native app, which will include activities such as compiling code, bundling assets, and preparing the project for Android or iOS. Upon click on OK, this action will start a job. And when job is completed, we can download the zip by clicking on the download icon. So the another way to export the zip is by using Maven command. This would be useful if you are working outside native mobile app studio. So you can execute git clone command to get the project from the Git repository, which is commonly used across the development team. So now let's move on to the next step and see how to build mobile app installers using AppChef. So AppChef build app installers, including APK and IPA from a zip that can be exported from the mobile app studio. To perform a build, we simply need to click on the build from the project actions and open AppChef. Here, I'll select the option Create React Native Build. And once we select this, this will trigger a start dialog to appear. We can either drag and drop or browse library management zip file to upload. Upon uploading the zip file, the information will be populated and this next button will also get enabled. I'll click on next. So here for build, there are two options, that is development and production. And in the iOS certificate option, you can upload certificates for iOS by clicking on the add icon. Here, the certificate and profile can be uploaded by one step upload button click. And further, to secure the uploaded certificates, password will be saved in encrypted format. So moving further to the Android certificates. So a default debug certificate is available to generate an Android application. And similarly, there is also an add icon to upload certificates for Android as well. So these were the options that are shown when you want to add Android certificates. So click on Save and Build to start the building the application. The build will be available here in the My Apps section. So you can always open the application card and check the build info and status related to it. After we see the status as successful for the build, the application is ready to be installed in Android devices by scanning the QR code that is located at the right corner. So after scanning the QR code, you will typically receive a prompt to install the mobile app on your Android device. Just follow the on-screen instructions to complete the installation. So I hope we have acquired knowledge about how to build app installers, including APK and IPA files from a zip archive that can be exported from native mobile app studio. So with this, we conclude our journey through the native mobile application development process. Thank you for joining us. Over to you, Aditya.
Thanks, Arushi. I think we have a couple of questions from the audience. So let me just start, taking them one by one. Yeah. So the first question is, I think this was subject to what you showed today. So you actually spoke about building one single application, and with that one app, you can build both an IPA or an APK file that is corresponding for iOS or Android. So is this true? So with one application, you can basically have two outputs. So you just need to develop once, and basically you can have your respective IPA or APK file once the certificates are installed.
So to answer this question, yes, you can build both iOS and Android apps using WaveMaker. The platform supports the development of cross-platform mobile application that will let you create apps that run on both iOS as well as on the Android devices. To add more information here, WaveMaker also uses a single code base to generate apps for multiple platforms, and that helps streamlining the development process as well as ensuring the consistency across different services.
Great. Thanks for that answer. I hope that has covered the audience question. There is another question from a viewer, which is more to do with the features of your mobile device, right? So I think this is more about including specific features like your camera or access to your file storage of your local device, or your gyroscope, right? So how are these features incorporated in your application? Is there some methodology where WaveMaker lets you do this?
Yeah, so the WaveMaker allows you to access these features through plugins and APIs. So I'll just share my screen once to show you the
Sure,
place
go ahead.
from where we can achieve this. So if you see here, you can easily add plugins from the export options. If you go to React Native zip and we'll click on this plugins section, which can be used to access native device features. For example, you can use geolocation plugin to get the GPS data. And to find another plugins which are not listed here, you can always look for them from the drop-down option over here. So, and further, as we have already explored this feature, that you can write custom JavaScript code to interact with these plugins, as we did it here in the app as well. So And after writing the JavaScript code, that will fetch the required data from the device plugin that we have used. And apart from this, WaveMaker provides API that facilitate communication between the app and the device hardware components. So you can use these APIs to request and handle data from the different plugins that you have used and imported. So by using these methods, you can always incorporate a wide range of device-based features into your app seamlessly within the WaveMaker platform.
Thanks, Anushri. I think I have one more. I think we have time for one last question, and I think this is more of an important one. So this is about how do you, basically have updates done for your application, right? So once your application is installed, let's say it's on your respective device, iOS or Android, how do these updates happen? Is it over the air, or how do these updates happen? Do you need to reinstall that application, for that to be updated as per the latest upgraded version?
So to answer this question, in WaveMaker, versioning for your mobile app can be implemented two ways. I mean, like both ways. The platform supports OTA updates as well that would let users receive the latest versions automatically. And in addition to that, manual updates can also be performed by downloading as well as installing the new version. So this flexibility ensures that you can choose the method that best suits your deployment and user needs.
Sure. And I think I have one more question. This is more about the UI customizability. So I think if you could speak a little bit about how UI customizations happen at a page level for mobile, if there is any information around this, that would be helpful.
Yes, to this, I'll just share my screen once again. So while building the page, we have already explored that we can always customize widgets as well while designing the pages. For example, you can further add labels to add more information to the pages. So the customization also can be done from the style tab here by selecting the widget. And from the style tab, you can always design the widgets the way you want.
Great. So I think that sums up all of the Q&A for today. I'd like to thank our viewers for joining in. And we hope to see you soon in our upcoming sessions where, we will keep you all up to date on what's happening next. So please stay tuned and watch this space for our next session. Thank you all for joining. Bye-bye.